In this part of the webinar for community archives about filming on your phone, the volunteers learn to put together a sequence of shots that tell a story in pictures. At the end, you'll hear how they use this skill to bring to life their heritage projects.
The power of films is really that we can splice together videos and audio, and we can tell a story in pictures, not just in words. It's an audiovisual medium, and so what you show is really just as important as what you say. So for example, if one of the volunteers in the interviews mentioned, it's so exciting when you hold a railway cap from the 1950s in your hand, to see that excitement in an image, that's much better than just to hear it. Or even better, we hear it and we see it. So it's a good way of thinking about trying to capture pictures that really convey something. And videos, aka shots, are generally edited together into a sequence. And the aim is to really tell a visual narrative, so to tell a little story almost. When you think about pictures, really think about pictures at every stage of this process. So plan the shoot before you go on location. Think what will be happening there, what people, the viewer, might be interested to see in this place. And are there specific people you really want to have in the film? And will you maybe be needing specific props? And what could people do in front of the camera to tell the story best? So you all are volunteering for community archives. So what is it in those spaces and outside of those spaces that really show what your group does and can capture people's imagination? While you're filming, and while you have all these ideas about, okay, these are the pictures, these are the shots that I want to get, stay open to changes. So something charming might happen, and that might be really worth documenting. So for example, maybe Hillary Hiddith, you're filming right now at a church, and a neighbor is walking past and actually saying, oh yeah, actually I got married at this church too. That would be possibly really worthwhile capturing. Now, after the shoot, it's really important that you also review your footage and with a critical eye. So what you've done now, looking at your own footage with a critical eye, you can do that after every shoot as well. And then you can really look at, are the shots as good as they can be? Did you maybe miss something, or did you forget to film something? And then you can go back and pick up on that. So it's really about planning and envisioning in images what you want to capture. As you're filming, think about what are the most striking things that you can capture and frame those shots as best as you can. So they might actually become really attention-grabbing opening shots. So right now I'm, for example, thinking about Bear Island. It's a very, very beautiful island, a very, I think, unusual place for most of us to see. And so maybe there is something about the nature that needs to be framed in a really, really beautiful opening shot. Opening shots are so important. They can make a difference between your film being played or skipped altogether. So you can have a little think about what you think would make a great opening shot to showcase what your group does.
As Isa explained to us that film is constructed from lots of visual sequences, let's delve into how do we shoot that sequence? In the industry, in the news, in the TV, in corporate, our goal is to shoot a 5-shot sequence. And what that means is you film 5 things per action. If you shoot those 5 shots, means you can create a very long sequence while talking for as long as you want, and it's still engaging. It's a dream world. We don't always get to do it. Of course, you sometimes only get to grab 2 or 3 shots if you're lucky, but the aim is 5, and I will tell you why. So, for example, here, we want to shoot hands. What is that person doing? We want to film face. Who is the person doing the action? Let's say someone's polishing some brass handles on a train. We also want that wide shot to establish our place, to know where the setting is. Is it rural? Is it busy? Is it very quiet? Is it full of volunteers? We also want to do shot of over the shoulder. And over the shoulder tells a perspective of the person we're filming. So we saw what the person was doing with their hands. We saw who is the person. We always are very interested in looking at people's faces. We saw where they are in the wide shot. We see what they're doing, how focused they are at doing something with their hands. And then we want to open up a possibility for a fifth shot. I call it the jazzy shot. Okay, and here's a clip explaining how those 5 shots work together to create a sequence.
To film a 5-shot sequence, start by framing up on your subject's hands. This will allow your viewer to see what the person is doing. A shot of the face, usually a close-up or a medium close-up, lets the viewer see who the story is about. Move back from your subject to film a wide shot, which will show where your subject is and their surroundings. By showing what the person is doing, who they are and where they are, your shots are telling the viewer a lot about your story. An over-the-shoulder shot, while showing the edge of your subject's head and shoulder, concentrates on what they're looking at and shows their perspective. The 5th shot is a shot of your choice. You could choose a close-up to show more details, or get creative with a low or high angle. Think about what else your viewer would want to see and know. When you edit your sequence, you can use the shots in any order and they'll cut together well to tell your story. You may choose to use only 2 or 3 shots to create a short sequence to introduce your contributor. Or you may use all 5 shots to produce a visual narrative to go with a voiceover or an audio clip from your subject's interview.
Time for another exercise. So you have learned the framing of the shots and how to practice. And this time we want you to practice filming an action. Ask the person you're filming to reenact an action. So somebody writing something, or sitting down reading a book, or tidying a bookshelf. Keep it very, very simple. Not moving from room to room, but just so that there's something in the person's hands and they're doing something. And here's the list of shots we want you to film. Remember to keep the shots minimum 10 seconds long and keep practicing focusing, resetting and locking the focus and using exposure if you need to. And you will need to reset your focus each time you reset the shot.
Adding camera moves to your sequence can really add some visual interest, but the camera moves should be used to reveal something new or show the relationship between one thing or another. So when you do a camera move, think about why you're doing it. Does it have a function within the video? And camera moves are great because they can really keep your viewer engaged, but they need to be planned. And they need to have a proper start, a middle, and an end, and have a purpose. So here we have a little video that illustrates that a little bit.
Frame up at the beginning of the shot, press record, then hold for 10 seconds. Then pan. You can use a tripod or go handheld. And when you finish your pan, hold the final frame for a further 10 seconds. If you do this for all camera moves, you get 3 shots for the price of 1. Which gives you more choice in the edit. You can also move your camera vertically with a tilt up or a tilt down. When it comes to a zoom in or a pull out, while you can do it on your phone digitally by pinching your fingers in and out on your screen, you will lose picture quality. It's much better to zoom or pull out with your feet. Simply hold your phone steady and walk towards or backwards from your subject. A tracking shot is used to follow movement. So, for example, if your subject is walking through the park, you can walk along beside them, filming them as you go. Just try to keep your own steps as smooth as possible. And if you want to get adventurous, you can also attach your phone to a bicycle, a shopping trolley, or anything else with wheels. As you gain more experience filming, you can combine these camera moves together to add even more visual interest.
We're not asking you to do some mountain biking. But we're going to ask you to go and film these camera moves with exact same setup. So, working on the train sets, partners reading a book. And so we're proposing there are 5 types of camera moves. There's the pan, left to right, right to left. There's the tilt, up and down, down or up. You can zoom in, you can walk in, or you can walk out. You can also track, so you'd walk alongside them. Or you can do a combination. So you would just follow and then move in, or like pan up, or look down on their feet. We want you to film 3 types of camera moves. And finally, we have one more video for you to watch about crossing the line, or 180-degree rule.
When you're filming, you need to be aware of what's known as the 180-degree rule. Imagine an invisible line running between 2 people talking to one another. You can film from any point on one side of the line, and one person will always be looking left to right, and the other person will always be looking right to left. But if you were to film from the other side of the line, the person who was looking left to right would now be looking right to left, and the person who was looking right to left would now be looking left to right. Your subjects should always face one another. If you film from the other side of the line and then edit shots together from those opposite sides, your subjects would be facing the same way, which would confuse the viewer. The 180-degree rule doesn't just apply to filming conversations. It applies to any visual sequence. In this example, the line of action is between the cyclist and the tyre pump. So when you move behind that line to the other side of the bicycle, you've crossed the line. So remember to draw your imaginary line and stay on the same side.
After the training, the volunteers made short promotional films about their community heritage groups. Here's how they got on with picture sequences.
I think as a concept, it made perfect sense, but actually doing it was quite difficult. Perhaps we could have practiced a wee bit more before we went onto the shoot.
I think even before you even start filming, just kind of look around, taking your surroundings, just, is there anything happening? A couple of times when I was out filming, we had roadworks going on in the islands. I didn't want big trucks going past. They're up and down today. You might hear them actually outside here. Take a few minutes to think before you start filming.
For me, actually doing the filming, I wouldn't call it enjoyable. I would say it was too stressful. Forgot to center focus it, or forgot to move backwards, or forgot to do this. And we got to do it again.
There were so many things to think of when you're setting up camera angles and focus and background noise. There were shadows that you had to watch. Obviously your finger in front of the camera. It's a big learning curve for people of our age, isn't it?
Every bit of film, even the same bit of film, needed low angles and high angles. Being put close up to people's hands draws your eye in.
We all made mistakes. I was taking shots and thought, oh, well, that's okay. And then you look at them later and you think, good Lord, no. But at least we had the opportunity to try again.
I think just getting people's head around the idea of, thank you, you've done that, but now 4 more times, please. Or that wasn't quite right. Or, and that was our learning curve as well, that sometimes we had to stop the film because it wasn't quite right, and make sure that all of the people that you're involved in are fully aware of just how much work is involved.
That's the end of this part of the webinar about filming on your phone. Next, you should watch part 4, planning the shoot.